Right guys, this is without a shadow of a doubt the worst seat I have ever had to work on. Now you can obviously see there's quite a bit of damage here on this part of the seat. Turn it around, you'll see there's more damage here at the top, and there's quite a lot of damage here as well. Now at the minute all you can see is just the cover. What is underneath this cover is just as damaged as the cover itself, if not worse. Now I'm not even sure whether this seat is repairable. It is absolutely, I think the technical term is. First job is to remove the cover as safely as can. I don't want to damage it any more than it is. It's already pretty damaged, but I don't want to do any more damage. This has probably never had a clean in its life. It's probably never been fed in its life, and it has just been allowed to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. These seats are held in with two bolts at the front, and then they've got a little hook at the back which hooks them into the car. Only one bolt was attached to the car. The other bolt had ripped the bottom of the car out. That's something that I don't get involved in repairing. I don't do welding, but a lot of the seat is also broken. There's bits at the back that you can hear that. That is part of the seat frame itself, that is broken. The wire mesh that is underneath the seat base that supports the seat foam, that's all also broken. So yeah, like I said, I'm not sure if this is even repairable. Now I've given the customer a price for repairing it, but whether I'm going to have to charge him more for any other bits of the frame that need repairing, I don't know yet. I've allowed myself 2 days to do this job. I'm going to give it a good clean. I'm probably just going to give it a light bit of, I won't say colour, I'm going to use a coloured balm for this. I'm not going to colour the whole seats because the passenger seat is in, it's obviously not in as bad condition as this, but the passenger seat is still in a pretty bad condition. The leather is obviously the same age, it's probably not had as much use, but it is still full of cracks, it's still filthy, it is still in a pretty bad condition, and part of that frame is not attached to the car either. The back seats are immaculate. They look like they've never been sat in. They probably have once or twice, but there's no marks on them. They're pretty clean, there's no cracks. I will show you them later as a comparison. But this was obviously owned, it's a Saab by the way, Saab 900 I think. Yes, Saab 900, and it's a G-Reg, so that in the UK G-Reg is 89. So it is, we're 2025 now, so that is 36 years old, and for a 36-year-old seat it is pretty I've seen a lot older seats that are in much better condition than this. Whoever owned this car previous to this guy, I'm not sure whether he's owned it all his life or not, he's not been taken care of one little bit. And the old saying, a stitch in time saves 9, well, I'm into 99 stitches here and then some. I may split this seat. I will remove the plastics on this side. Try not to damage anything because old plastics are quite fragile. They do crack quite easily. If I can just split the backrest from the seat base, that would be great. I know on the inside at the centre there are just two bolts holding this seat backrest, and chances are it's the same on the other side. So until I set the plastic off on this side, I won't know. But that's my first protocol, taking the plastics off, and then we'll take it from there. Yeah, this is the side that was bolted on, and this side here, you can see that this bit here is the bottom of the car. That's all metal in there, and that's completely ripped out of the car. It's deformed all that. That is an old banana skin. This is an electric seat by the way, or a heated seat. Whether that heater works, I very much doubt it. And they're on tight. So that's the seat split in half. All these springs are no longer where they should be. I'm not sure you can see this. It should be welded into here, but that's completely shot. just about everything that I touch has got some damage somewhere on it. So you think I can do this? Leave a comment down below and let's see if you're right. Is it even worth doing? I'll put this one time. I'll strip the seat cover off now and see where we're at. That's the cover off. Now I'm not sure whether this seat heater works. In fact, I know it doesn't work because it's split here, so it can't work. So I'm not even gonna bother trying to save it. Oh yeah, wire's broken and everything. Yeah, so that's never gonna work. Get rid of that. So this is a major problem here. Every single spring is come out. Oops, don't want that fall on the floor. Right, so this wire frame is, you know what? It's alright. It just needs putting back on. And these are my missing springs. Yeah, the trouble is the front part of it is starting to fall apart. So I've stripped the seat base down. Everything's here. It's not like we're missing lots of parts. It's just that a lot of things are broken. The main issue is this bit here, as you can see, it's no longer attached. It should be welded to the frame here. Having that being snapped has made the seat kind of collapse a little bit at the back, which has probably put a lot of stress on this here. This is just like a mesh spring almost that is held in by these springs along the end, and that gives you a little bit of comfort in the seat. Now this is started to perish as well, which has meant that the springs have come undone. The springs have come undone, which means there's no longer any support to the seat, and it's continued to be used, and the weight of the person sitting in the seat has put undue stress onto the seams of the leather, which has then made them split open, which has then just compounded the issue because there's no support even from the leather anymore, and it puts more stress on this part here and then this part here, and it's just a snowball effect of one thing going wrong, not being dealt with, and just let to continue to get worse and worse and worse, which has affected every other part of the seat. Now having this snapped here means that you put more weight, when you go in, you put more weight on the backrest, because you sit into it and you're falling back every time you get in, which has then put stress on the fixing at the front, which has meant the fixing at the front have ripped out the bottom of the car, which it could have been sorted probably years ago when it first started to happen, when someone decided, oh, my seat's getting uncomfortable, I'll kind of deal with it. If that would have been dealt with straight away, then this would have never happened. The leather wouldn't have got in this bad condition. It would have been a much more easy job to repair this seat, but it's been left way too long, and it's now getting to a state where it would probably be better to try and get a donor seat, but chances of getting a donor seat from a Saab 900 in this tan leather, a driver's seat that is probably in better condition than this, is probably very rare. Now I've got to try and work some magic. I expect something similar with the backrest. The backrest has probably got a very similar wire mesh at the back of it, and that is probably in the same state that this one is. It's probably damaged. I know the bolster foam on that will be absolutely gone. I can just feel it when I pick the seat, when I actually touch the seat. there's nothing there at all. So yeah, I'll put this to one side, get on with the backrest, and then see where we're at. Yeah, this zip is pretty jammed. Worst comes to worst, I will just cut the zip off and replace the zip, which is not an issue. Quite easy just to replace the zip, but I will try and get it off. At least try and get it undone. It's getting closer. Oh, there we go. No, I'm just going to actually undo this seam here. It's just going to make life easier rather than trying to mess about and try and get this off. I'll just unpick this seam. It has to come apart anyway. Okay, so that wire mesh isn't too bad on this. We've just got one snap straight spring. What I'll probably do with this is I'll probably change the spring from this side to this side here where more stress is. Or I just might put a metal hook on it. Yeah, I think I'll probably just put a metal hook on it. Now that I've got everything stripped down, I need to unpick more or less, I won't say all of it, but quite a lot. So I'm going to unpick this back piece here so I can actually restitch all of this. I need to unpick this and the front part here so I can restitch this. Once I've unpicked everything, I will stitch everything back together, do any repair on the seat foam that I need to do, then I can, yeah, what I'll do, I'll repair the whole of the seat base. So I'll do the broken parts of the seat base frame, fit all of this, I'll give it a feed, a clean, and what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to recolor this. I'm just going to clean it. Whether it comes up clean or not, I've got no idea. Chances are it won't come up very clean because it's probably so dirty and ingrained that I probably can't get most of it out, but I will give it a clean anyway. Yeah, and then I'll fit the cover and the foam to the frame, to the seat frame, and then I'll move on to the backrest. The backrest is a little bit trickier because I've got the whole of this panel to deal with, and what I don't want to do is put some brand new leather into that and it will just stand out a mile. So I'm going to have to find a bit of leather that is aged. If I can find enough that is big enough to do the whole panel, I'll change the whole panel. If I can't, then I'm going to have to patch it. When I get around to doing that, I'll make my decision on that one. I'll just deal with the seat base first, because this is, believe it or not, the easiest thing, because nothing is actually, I wouldn't say damaged, but there's no big holes in it. So yeah, it's just a case of now unpicking things. Yeah, the only bit of damage really is this bit here. And I'm not going to replace the whole of this back panel and the whole of this side here, even though chances are I have some vinyl to do it, but it's quite a lot of work to unpick. We would be effectively everything apart from this seam here, and for what it is, that I can probably just patch behind that and we should be fine. So you can see the colour the leather's supposed to be if you look here. That is the colour of the leather, and you can see how dirty it is in these seams here. Absolutely filthy. Yeah, you can see even better here the colour of the leather. That's the difference. That's how the leather should look, and that is now how it looks. Massive difference. Right, that is very misshapen just because it's been abused for a long time now. It's not going to go in great, so I'm going to have to kind of try and get it back to being the shape it should be. That is heavily stretched here. This is the shape that it should be, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do a little test steam on this. It may not like being steamed. Sometimes old leather doesn't. Let's clean it as well. Yeah, pretty dirty. But I'm sure you can see the difference though. It's come up a little bit cleaner. Well, this is just a coloured band that I'm putting on. Just soften the leather a bit. that's a bit more of an even shape. It's probably still not perfect. Well, I know it's not perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was shape wise. I'll give this a clean as well now. I'm now ready to start sewing these pieces back together. I'll do the centre panel first, then I will do this seam that's here, and then sew the centre panel in to the outer part. Once I've done that, if you notice, I've not cleaned this part here yet. I'm just going to do that when it's on the seat. Just makes life a little bit easier. I've done this side here, and I've cleaned just between these two seams here that I'm going to sew together. Steam them as flat as I can get them. It just makes life easier if they're flat when you come to sew everything back together. I'm just going to sew the pocket in separately. Now normally I would have sewn the pocket and the centre panel in at the same time, but because I had to be quite accurate, because I didn't want, I wanted to kind of sew into the original stitch holes when I sewed both pieces together. It was just easier to sew that bit in and then I sew the pocket on afterwards. This pocket is for a wire that holds it into the seat now that I've sewn all the cover back together, I need to deal with the foam and the wire mesh and the seat base. The foam is split in quite a few places, so I need to glue the foam back together. I'm going to reinforce it from the bottom because the hessian is completely degraded. I will then put extra foam on top, so I'll put some scrim foam over the top of this just to give it a little bit more padding, so it'll push out the cover a little bit better. Now I might use 10mm scrim foam, but we'll see. So first job is to just start to glue all this back together. Everything needs gluing, so I'll start at the front end. You know what, I'm going to get rid of this hessian. It's kind of in the way and it isn't doing much anyway. I'm going to wrap most of this in scrim foam. In fact, I'll use headlining fabric rather than scrim foam. It's a bit stronger. So I'll start from this side here. So I'll put this to one side for a minute, let the glue go off properly, then I'll wrap it in scrim foam. I'll cut away the scrim foam in strategic parts where there's holes through the foams that have little hooks that bring the cover down via the rods that go in here and the rod that goes around there. So those holes need to be put in, but when I put the scrim foam on, that'll kind of bring everything in together. It'll tighten everything up and make it a little bit more stable. I'll do the same from the back. Whether I use scrim foam or I use something else to strengthen that, I might use something else to strengthen that. In fact, yeah, I will. I'll cut away any hessian that is not really attached. now stabilise that from the back. So that's that foam repaired. We're not looking too bad at all actually. I expected a little bit of a difference on this bolster here to be collapsed, but it's absolutely fine. I don't know why it's in such a, I wouldn't say good condition, but it's still firm. A lot of the time the bolster on the driver's side where you get in and out is completely shot, but this is, yeah, it's much better than I expected. Obviously the backrest is a different story altogether. I will have to do the same with backrest, so exactly what I've done with the seat base I will do with the backrest. I'm not going to film that because it's just the same process. Glue everything back together, strengthen it where you can, and then attach some headlining fabric. The headlining fabric is stronger than scrim foam because it's got a fabric on top, and that fabric is more stable. Even though this is a stretchy headlining fabric, it's still a hell of a lot more stable than standard scrim foam, because scrim foam has a very fine scrim fabric on it, and it's nowhere near as stable as the headlining fabric is. So I'll put this to one side. I need to now get on with the wire frame. or the wire mesh that goes underneath this seat, which goes here. It actually goes on the seat frame, but I need to rebuild that. So that's the next job. Once I've done that, I'll repair the actual seat frame. If you remember the bit on the back that was snapped, all the welding snapped. I'm not going to re-weld it, I'm just going to put a couple of brackets on and rivet the brackets to that piece and the seat itself and just make it more stable. We should be fine then to put everything back together on the seat base. Once I've done that, I will move on to the backrest, which is the harder bit. I'll just double check this foam now on here. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'll probably have to drill some holes as well in this. Some of the holes where the springs go I've completely worn through, so I'll just move them over a little bit. It doesn't matter where they are, as long as they're close enough to where they were. But yeah, that one's snapped, that one's snapped, that one's snapped, that one's fine, that one's fine, that one's fine, that one's fine. That was an absolute mission. Yeah, I'm sure they don't do it like that in the factory. But we're solid now. What I need to do now is I need to offer the cover up to the foam, and where these hooks go through the bottom of the foam and then they hook onto the wire that's in the cover, I need to cut little holes in the pocket that I've sewn in, so they'll take these. That's going to be absolutely perfect. Alright, put that to one side, get the cover. Well, that's not good. Yeah, we have a little issue. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of the little hooks. I'm just going to use cable ties. This, to me, just seems like it's the wrong size. So, yeah. I'm going to use cable ties, makes life a little bit easier. Sorry, I can't show you what I'm doing because I can't see what I'm doing either. Doing this by feel. I'll give that a quick steam, a bit of a clean and a feed, and then get on with the backrest. is that part of the seat repaired. Now, I need to do exactly the same with the backrest, but obviously on the backrest there's a little bit more damage on the bolster part. As I said earlier, I'm going to try and find some leather, some old leather. I think I've got an old Triumph seat. It's a very similar leather to this that I can probably do a little bit patch, but we're going to have to see. I don't think there's enough to change that whole panel, but I'll check. If there is, I'll change the whole panel. If not, then it will be a patch. Now, probably the biggest patch I've ever done, but a patch nonetheless. Now, I'll put this to one side, have some lunch, and then get on with the backrest. So I've now repaired the backrest. That was a mission and a half. I've not changed the panel, I've just put quite a large patch behind it. The trouble with changing the panel is it would just stand out a mile. The seat is in pretty bad condition, the backrest is the same, bad condition. So putting a brand new panel in there, in my opinion, just looks absolutely stupid. Some people prefer that, they just want it to be brand new, but it just does look absolutely odd. So having the patch behind it, I've put some colour onto the patch. You can obviously see it's there, it's not invisible, but I think it blends in a little bit better. It's obviously got more strength now, it's not got a big hole in it. I'll see what the customer thinks. He might like it, he might not, but from the state of the car, I don't think he's got any kind of how to put this and be polite. I don't think I can. Not having a big hole in the seat, I think is better than nothing, and I think he'll probably be happy enough with it. But saying that, he might have been happy enough with a brand new piece of leather that stands out a mile against the rest of the car. You never know. You never know. People's expectations of what they're going to get when they bring a job to me and what they get when they get back, who knows. If it was a complete retrim and I completely did the whole seat brand new, different matter, but doing something like this where it is a repair more than anything else. Obviously the seat itself now is in one piece. It's not completely falling apart. You can sit in it, you don't have to put the things that he had in it. He had a couple of cushions and a coat stuffed underneath the seat. Or not underneath the seat, but in here, so he wasn't falling through the seat. So what he's got is better than what he had by a long way, but whether he'll be happy with it, who knows. Personally, I would have just said, I'll get a brand new seat, or I'll get a seat out of a donor car, or whatever, or I'll have the seat completely retrimmed, or at least the two front seats, have them retrimmed, because the back seats, like I said before, the back seats were I'll show you in a bit. When I put this seat in, I'll show you the back seats and show you they've probably been sat in, I mean, a few times. They are still a bit dirty, but the rest of the car is dirty, so what do you expect? But as far as cracks, creases, there's very little wear on the back seats. Yeah, so we'll see. Anyway, I digress. What I need to do now, I'm going to attach the backrest frame part to here, just so it's easier for me to fit the cover onto the backrest. Having the backrest not supported by anything just makes it flop about a lot, and it's really tricky. So I'll fit that to this, and then I can start to fit the cover on, and hope that zip is fine. That's my next worry, that the zip isn't going to be fine. I could just bite the bullet, take the zip off, put a new zip on, but I think it unzipped. I think I will be able to get it to zip up again, fingers crossed, touch wood and all that, touch some real wood. Yeah, I think I should be able to get it to zip up. If I can't, I will just put hog rings along it and hold it together with hog rings. It will do the job, and they'll not be seen because of where they are on the seat. They're right along here, the zip's right along here, so it'll not be seen. So I'll get on, put the frame on and then fit the seat, and I'll give you a look. In fact, I'll give you a look once it's in the car, and I'll show you the back seats as well at the same time. So the seat is now done. If you remember what it was like before, the whole of that was hanging out. The backrest has been repaired, so it doesn't stand out a mile. Back seats are absolutely immaculate. So if you enjoyed that video, give it the old thumbs up. I definitely didn't enjoy doing that job. It was a bit of a pig. I think that video was probably worth a subscribe if you got to this point. So thanks for that, and hope to see you again. Thanks for watching. Bye.